I went to college. I went to the University of Maryland, and I wasn't completely sure that I wanted to do television at that point. I really was kind of undecided, but that's why one of the reasons I decided to go to a bigger school so that I could have some options. Mrs. Hope was my 9th grade English teacher, and she really opened my eyes, and I know a lot of my classmates too, to just being creative and really reading deeper into that literature that we tackled. You know, a lot of the stuff that we read when I first had to read it, you know, the Odyssey and Once and Future King, like these really thick, wordy books that everyone was like, oh God, I don't want to read this. But she really forced us to look at it in a creative way. A lot of times stations will post their job openings right on their website. If you go to the station's website, there'll be an employment spot and it'll tell you about job openings. There's also a great website that I like to use. It's a subscription website, so you have to, I think it's like $30 a year or something, but it's really, really good because a lot of stations use it, called tvjobs.com. And a lot of times, you know, any local station, if they have a job opening, they'll post it just because it's a pretty well-known website. So I use tvjobs.com even now to find my job. I think it depends on the job. I had pretty consistent hours as an anchor, but as a reporter, I'm kind of expecting to, you know, have to be more flexible, because if something happens, say it's 6 o'clock at night and I'm supposed to leave for the day, and something big catches on fire and I'm the closest reporter to it, I can't just be like, oh, I put in my 8 hours, peace out, guys. You know, that's part of my job. I have to go, and it's something, you know, that as a news hound I'm more than happy to do, but it is tough sometimes. As a reporter to it, I can't just be like, oh, I put in my 8 hours, peace out, guys. You know, that's part of my job. I have to go, and it's something, you know, that as a news hound I'm more than happy to do, but it is tough sometimes. I had to, I don't know if you guys, about a year ago, or last April, a big breaking news story that I had to go cover was the Blue Angel crash at the Beaufort Air Show down in South Carolina, and that's part of our media market. When one of the Blue Angel pilots crashed his plane, the pilot was killed and crashed into a residential neighborhood. So at first we had no idea if anyone had been killed, any civilians had been killed. And I was actually on my way to my 1-year anniversary dinner with my boyfriend. I was about to go, and it was like this big thing, and he had planned this, you know, really nice dinner, and I had to call him and I had to be like, I can't go. And you know, stuff like that happens, and I mean, that's not even the worst of it. I don't even have kids. I don't have a husband. You know, I don't have to miss my kids', you know, school functions or anything, which I'm sure if I stay in the business will be part of it. So it's tough. There are some family things that, you know, that you're forced to miss because, you know, news happens anywhere and everywhere. So it's hard. I think that's one of the harder businesses, to kind of keep your personal life together. But I think, you know, if the people close to you realize that this is what you love to do and this is what you want your career to be, they're understanding. And fortunately, I have, you know, a lot of really understanding people in my life who realize that, you know, I love news and this is what I do, and you know, so it's tough, but you can do it. The first year was a lot of just kind of general courses that everyone has to take, and then as I got higher in level, I had to take more of the upper level journalism classes. I knew that I wanted to go into broadcasting, and by my junior year I was taking a lot of those reporting classes, learning how to use the camera, put together a good story. So it was a lot of journalism classes. Also, it was just a lot of writing and communications classes. But I still had to take that. I had to take the basic math and the biology and the psychology. There's certain core classes that even if you don't want to take, you know, a lot of colleges that are liberal arts based are going to make you take those courses. But anyway, once I knew what my major was, I could focus on those classes, the journalism classes I wanted to take. I did a couple when I was in college. I did my first one, I think it was the summer after my sophomore year of college, and it was actually at WB17 in Philadelphia, which isn't the same. At that time, they had their own nightly news. Now, since then, I guess their news department was taken over by NBC10, so it's a very different operation than it was when I was there. But I did my first internship there, which was really great because they let me go out with photographers and even shoot a little bit of video, handle the assignment desk. They had me do a lot of stuff. So that was my first one. I did an internship with ABC News Nightline in Washington, D.C. That was my junior year. I also did, I think I did two with ABC News. One was with their radio department, and then another one was with Nightline. That was really neat to see the behind the scenes of a huge national operation. I got to meet Ted Koppel, so it was really neat, but it wasn't as useful in some ways to what I'm doing now because there wasn't a whole lot of hands-on experience. I wasn't allowed to touch the cameras, or I wasn't allowed to, do more of that hands-on stuff that I like to do. But it was still, it was neat just to be there. There are a couple of breaking news things. Now, granted, I've been anchoring for the past 2 years, so I haven't done as much reporting as I would have liked. The Blue Angel crash was a big story, probably the biggest news story, because there were CNN reporters there alongside me, so that was kind of neat because you knew it was a big story when the national people started showing up. In Montana, I did some cool stories that were super, super local, but were still really neat. And I just did, I guess the craziest thing I've ever done on the air was I milked a goat live. We were at the state fair, and the state fair week it's a huge deal out there, and it's fun. It's a fair, and they just have all the reporters. They just say go out and find something crazy to do, and we put it on TV. So it was, we did our news live from the fair. They had a little news set up, and I had a little goat, and the woman taught me how to milk a goat, and I milking the goat on there. That was probably the craziest thing I've ever done on TV on purpose. Some do. I know I always did because I was also, a lot of anchors also act as producers or contribute to the shows. I know there are some anchors out there who just kind of come in, read their scripts over that are already written for them, and then go on TV and read them. But there are also anchors who love to report, who love to look up news stories, who love to contribute to the newscast. So I guess it depends what station you're at and how hardworking your anchors are, So it just kind of depends on the person, I think. Thing you need is a resume tape, which is it's like a demo reel of a number, you out in the field, you doing a montage of stand-ups, you doing different stories, and then you send it to an employer. You want to apply, you send it with your resume, and then you also send, sometimes you send references, cover letters, so you send all that out. And if the news director watches your tape and likes it, he'll call you, or she'll call you. And most of the time, if they decide, once you get the call, that usually leads to an interview. So you usually go to the station. A lot of small stations will just do an interview over the phone. But if you're close, like to Montana, it was a small station and they weren't going to fly me out there. And I, so it just happened that way. So I did the interview over the phone. But like when I went to Savannah and when I went to Scranton, I went to the TV station, I met a lot of people, I interviewed with a lot of people, and a lot of times you spend the whole day there at that station. And it's not only for them to get to know you, but it's for you to get to see how that station works and for you to decide if that's somewhere where you want to work. So usually it's an interview, and then after that, if you get offered the job, then you start, I think when you're first starting out, I think they're just looking for confidence, and they're looking for someone who's personable. They're looking for a people person who isn't scared to just walk up to people and say, hey, can I interview you about this? Or, hey, can we talk about this? First, on average, a news director usually has a whole box full of tapes, full of resume tapes when he or she posts a job opening. So to get through them quickly, they're probably going to watch maybe 20, 30 seconds of your tape. And from there, you'll be put into the yes pile or the no pile. So the very first thing you see on your tape is going to be like a slate with your name and your phone number and your email address, like your contact information, so they know, okay, whose tape am I looking at? So you have your name and your information. Right after that, you're going to see a montage. It's going to be like little quick bits of stories of you. They want to see you. They want to see what you look like. They want to see what your delivery is like. So there's just, little couple second, really quick, different, some can be hard news, some can be fun news, some can be anchoring if you have it. So, that'll be maybe 20 seconds long, a montage of stand-ups. And then you pick your very best stories. If they get that far, that's great, because they mean that they like what they see. They want to see how you put together a story. They want to see what your writing is like. They want to see how conversational your stories are. So after that, I'd say pick 2 or 3 of your best stories and then put them on there. And this is for a reporter. For an anchor tape, they'll also want to see, a longer, you doing maybe the first news block of a show. But for a reporter, they want to see, montage of stand-ups and, little bits. And then, I'd say 3, if you have 3 solid good stories, put them on there. Definitely keep in touch with everybody that you meet that's in the business, especially if they're in a certain area or at a certain station that you want to go to. Just sending an email to say like, hey, I guess I use email the most to network and to keep in touch with people. I mean, some people might use MySpace or Facebook. I use it more for personal keeping in touch more than professional, professional networking. But there are sites now like LinkedIn that is solely for professional networking, where you create a profile and you look at other people in the same industry as you. So I think that's becoming big because Facebook and MySpace are so big. Yeah, I mean, even, in the light of all that, don't be afraid to call people up on the phone. I mean, I think there's something to be said for making that connection, and I think there's, they're going to remember you more if you see them in person, if you have lunch with them, if you call them. So I think, email and MySpace and all that is great. It's an easy and quick way to keep in touch with people. But also don't be afraid to stand out. And, if someone says, oh, hey, give me a call sometime if you're in the area, call. So I think, especially in this business, it's all about communication. So, there are people, especially people who are higher up, who are looking to help someone who maybe wants an internship or wants an entry-level job. They're willing to help you. So, meet them halfway and definitely, take some initiative. I would just say, get all of the experience that you can, even if you have your heart set on one aspect of the business. Say, your dream is to be a reporter and to be on air, which is great. Learn how to do all the behind the scenes stuff. Get experience in editing, in graphics, in shooting, in writing especially, and in on air. The more experience you have, like I said in the beginning, the better you're going to be able to find out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, what you need to work on, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, what kind of person you're going to be in this field. It's a really competitive, cutthroat business, and the more you know yourself, the more confidence you're going to have in yourself.